Alrighty, welcome to your reading. This is the first, I don't know, maybe I did this once before, actually, I forget. But I'm actually doing this on IG Live, so there's some people watching. So yeah, let's get down to business. Let's get down to business. All right. Okay, so first time looking at your chart. Well, I guess I looked at it for like 2.5 seconds, but obviously, you're born on right after a new moon in Gemini. Um, so you have a stellium, a Gemini stellium in the seventh house with the south node, which is very interesting. Um, you're Yeah, so you've got, so yeah, obviously, yeah, sun, moon, the same sign. Ascendant is in Sag, right? So and then the North Node is conjunct the ascendant. You've got Mars in Leo in the ninth. Jupiter is on the midheaven, beautiful placement. And you got a lot going on in Pisces in the fourth house. Some dark shit going down there. Okay, and then you've got, yeah, the 12th house Pluto. I see that with so many clients. Chiron with, hi, Mika. Just stay here and give me a kiss, Mika. Stay, stay. So how do you get the chat in your broadcast channel? I have no idea. It's weird. Um, okay, so basically, this is the thing, right? So you were born on a new moon. Being born on a new moon, obviously, from a karmic perspective, it's a new beginning. Just like a new moon, is a new beginning, right? You're actually born on an eclipse. Um, so the thing about this, though, is that the South Node in astrology, right? And I have no, actually, I should probably check if you have nodes. No, I did check that. So yeah, I don't know what you know or what you don't know, but the South Node in astrology represents the been there, done that. It's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just, what we've kind of had enough of, right? Like, we're trying to move. I had an article on my Instagram called "Are you something like Are you stuck in your South Node?" Right? And the whole point of that is that when you're stuck in your South Node, there's this feeling that you're kind of you're not really moving in this direction that might feel a little bit uncomfortable. Like the North Node journey, right? So they're opposite parts of the chart. The North Node journey is very much like climbing Mount Everest, or I don't know, everyone fucking says that, but like, yeah, it's like there's some level of uncomfortability to it, right? Because it's new to the soul. Um, so what makes this, and this is like, I sometimes use the word advanced soul when I do readings. But like it's kind of tough to know, like, is it advanced soul or is it just tough karma? I don't know. But like, when I see someone who has their South Node in Gemini and then their two most important planets, Sun and Moon, the masculine and the feminine, and Mercury in Gemini also, that is such a hard mission because you're trying to move away from Gemini, but your two most primal energies are keeping you, you know, you know, they're Gemini, like, right? So it's keeping you in that. So it's very hard to move away from your South Node Gemini when your Sun, Moon, and Mercury are in Gemini, right? So to better understand, how one could move towards a North Node in Sag with a chart like this, you have to think, okay, um, what is the axis of Gemini in Sag? Now, the way I think about this might be a little bit different than others. I think that when it comes to the nodes, there is obviously the lower and the higher, the low, high, medium, everything in between manifestation, right? So, um, with Gemini, I think, whenever I think about that on a south node um basis, or like related to the south node, especially because it's on your descendant, right? So I think of a past life, and is there any squares? So I think of like someone who, you know, stayed maybe too close, metaphorically too close to home, like too close to the known. Gemini rules the immediate environment. In terms of information, it can be a little bit scattered, so like when you think about Gemini and Sag, Gemini is the data collection. You need both of them, right? Because like it's like a journalist needs to go out, find the data for themselves, and then take that data and create, or whatever, the journalist, philosopher, whatever, they have to go out, or the researcher is a better one. They have to go out, get the data, right? That's the Gemini, the data. And then they take the data, they compile it into their research, right? Which is the overarching philosophies, which is Sagittarius. So when I think of that, I get this picture of someone who allowed themselves to be a little bit overrun when it comes to, like, a lot of romantic relationships, so like, and everyone has their own love language, right? But like a lot of the times people completely submerge themselves into one another, right? And it works for some people, but for others it prohibits them from truly finding, that real individual growth, right? And that real, in this case, that real individual wisdom. And another thing that North Node Sagittarius is about adventure. It's about taking risks. It's about traveling physically, traveling metaphorically, right? So in this sense, I think that a big part of your karma is, and your part of fortune's right there too within Sagittarius. So a big part of your karma is about um allowing yourself, like, not getting stuck to limiting relationships. So it's not saying that, like, you can't have any relationships, be single. It's more so that in relationships, and it's so hard for you because you have like the seventh house moon and sun, right? So like, and I'm not calling you codependent, right? Um, but it is, I have seen it, and especially with moon in the seventh, right? Like you get so much of your emotional nourishment from relationships, right? From your partner. So, or partners, right? So, it can be really difficult for someone with a loaded seventh house to be single, and that is like part of this karmic journey for you, right? So, back to what I was saying before, you know, Gemini, like, I think of the past life of someone who, who because of their relation, of maybe, let's say that, like, random example, let's say they got married very early, and they just kind of stuck around town, and you know gossiped at the barber shop. I don't fucking know. And because of that, it pushed them away from Sagittarius, right? Which Sagittarius is the act of you just going, you just moving towards these massive adventures, right? Um, and they're not always gonna, make sense to everyone, but like they're like another big thing with the North Node Sag is, Sag is also, it's the truth, it's the big picture, um, and it's wisdom, right? And one of the best ways that you can acquire wisdom is through meeting people from different backgrounds, right? Whether that's cultural or philosophical, whatever, right? Like if you're staying in the same place, right? Like I said, Gemini rules kind of like that you know that immediate environment, and you're around the same person, right? Like your South Node on the descendant, you're not going to get that many worldviews, right? So if you're constrained, if you've been constrained to a very limited amount of worldviews and philosophies and just you know personalities and opinions and all that, what's going to happen, right? So Sagittarius North Node is asking you to just go out and try shit, and live this adventurous life. And because it's on your ascendant, it's there's this big desire to live for yourself, you know. Yeah, to live for yourself. And some people might say, oh, that's selfish. Hold up. Oh, it's selfish, blah blah blah. No, like it really is about identity, right? Because your identity has been pushed back in past life, right? So in this life, you have this energy because you are trying to forge through, taking risks and having different experiences, your own authentic identity. So the main ingredient is freedom, right? And um, so I get into relationship stuff later, but what I would say is that it would be very, very important for you to have a relationship where that is understood, where that need for you to. And actually it's funny, I'm saying, yeah, actually wait, never mind, I just got confused. um I was like, I'm doing a chart of my friend's husband, but then I was like, no, I did a different chart, so I know nothing about you. um but yeah, like really, really, I lost my train of thought. But yeah, it really is North Node first house. Yeah, just like you can, yeah, okay, I remember. Like relationships, you can have them, but you have, like, they have to know that there's so much been there, done that around, like, not expanding. So your North Node, right, is ruled by Sag, which is Jupiter. So a lot of times, sometimes this shadow of like the South Node in Gemini can be filling the life with a lot of like more surface level kind of like different things that aren't really that important. You know, just like lots of like people and activities and blah 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 blah, blah, but they don't have that depth, right? So Sagittarius is like, instead of like 200, like jack of all trades, master of none, it's like, no, let's. So this is when I'm coming together with this Gemini energy, right? You have this Gemini energy because you are meant to do a bunch of fucking trial and error, right? You're meant, that Gemini is very, very curious, right? So you're meant to be curious. You're meant to go out, try this, try that, try this, try that. But then the key is when you find that thing, or maybe it's several things, whatever, that really, really works for you. um the key is to stick to that and to really, really um you know go in um with respect to to that, like, fully, right? So yeah, just like the development of yeah, I guess of just like that higher vision, like um at the end of the day, Sagittarius is about truth, right? So if we think about life, like for every human, it doesn't matter anything about your astrology, right? we all have what we consider to be our truth, right? So let's say, and I say this quite a bit, right? But it's a good example. Let's say my truth is money is everything. Like I want to make as much money as possible, and I want to own 6,000 cats. Okay, doesn't go along very well, but like like let's just say like yeah, like I want to let's just pretend that that's who I am. I want to be as powerful and make as much money as possible, right? That's my truth. So then my dharma, career dharma, what I'm doing on a public level is gonna, is gonna parallel that truth. So with this Sag North node, you the best thing you can do is constantly be updating and constantly be opening yourself up to being wrong. Like one of the shadows of this sometimes can be thinking like, oh, my way or the highway. I spent so much time. That's like the shadow of Sagittarius. Like I spent so much time developing these philosophies and attaching your ego to attaching your ego to your beliefs. The best thing you can do is having that. I talk about in my book Pisces Live Nine Lives, the intellectual flexibility and open-minded, right? So you can learn things from every person, right? And even if it's like the complete opposite of you, just being curious, being curious, like why do they believe what they believe, right? So yeah, aside from that, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, so it's kind of just like getting away from like the cluttered mind and moving towards like, yeah, seeing the big picture, the three questions: where do we come from? What are we doing? Where are we going? So then instead of having your ninth house being based on money and power, let's say that it becomes more something along the lines of like, okay, for me, truth is how much on a metaphysical level, on a spiritual level, what I can give back, right? So, and then that goes to your career, right? That's really, really important. Um, so yeah. Also I would say, yeah, using your intuition, because obviously Gemini ruled by Mercury. Sometimes it can be too logical, right? Like in the South Node, the shadow of it can be a little bit too logical. So yes, Jupiter is not intuition. It is, more about philosophy, but just, being able to connect with larger ideas and ideals, right? And just really connecting all these concepts, and then everything starts to make more and more sense. But also, I think the key is just being able to admit when you don't know, being able to admit when, um, yeah, like when you're wrong. Like what what percent people watching, like what percent of people when they're wrong about something, do they like do they like say, oh, okay, tell me about that. Like tell me about why I'm wrong. And like they're actually open to it. Like what percent of people? It's not that many, right? But I feel like, like some of the most intelligent people are like that, right? Because they're open to being wrong, because they care more about, um they care more about truth than they care about defending that intellectual ego, right? So yeah. Um, Another thing I would say, and once again, I'm spending so much time on the node. Um, I think like with Gemini, also a shadow of South Node Gemini can be over talking, and Sagittarius is all about learning. So it's like, that balance between listening and talking, right? Um, So that's also important. And yeah, overall, just like, yeah, like I said, being willing to embark on like maybe even moving to a foreign country. I mean, it's not like every like sad northern person has to do that, but like, you know, being willing to connect two different cultures, two different ways of doing things. And they say that the Jupiterian um gets lucky when he or she takes, the correct risks, that are like, in line with his or her, highest karma. So yeah. Um, all right. Let me see what else we got going on here. I spent a lot of time on that. And oh yeah, I guess the last thing I would say is like Sagittarius, there's such a like there's so much time spent exploring, learning, um, debating, blah blah blah, that eventually, they can come back and be, amazing teachers to people, right? In all different areas of life. And you have your part of fortune there too. So, and your ascendant, right? So, yeah, following your ascendant, right? So, yeah, like with your ascendant there, I imagine that there is like an active drive to, yeah, to really kind of go out. And yeah, I mean, I feel like every like Sag rising person I know, Sag Venus and Sag rising, obviously Sag moon, but yeah, like those two, like love traveling. And yeah, like, you can have some international appeal to you. Okay, okay. So let's see. So how close is that? Mm, 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 mm. Okay, so your sun is square, says the moon. This doesn't show me the exact degrees. Sun square Saturn, which is in so you have your fucking Saturn return right now, like today, right now. Holy fuck. And I did someone's chart last night with Haley who had the exact same Saturn as you. Um, so damn. Um, wow. So that's interesting. But let me see how many degrees is it away. Um, okay. Yeah. So there's, different astrologers use different orbs for the squares. I want to see like what, like 4 or 5 for that one. 5 is it here. Well, either way, with Sun, like I mean, your Sun square Saturn's a very tough aspect. Growing up, there's a level of people with Sun square Saturn, they 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 have a lot of extra responsibilities. Um, when they're growing up, a lot of times I don't really like to like correlate Sun with dad and mom with Moon. I've just seen too many times where it hasn't worked out. Um, but just from a psychological level, the masculine part of your psyche with Saturn squaring it, there's just like I always think of it as like there's just a lot of tests, trials, tribulations, lots of uh boulders in front of your path, right? Where it's like 2 steps forward, 3 steps back, and I'll, and it creates that difficulty early in life, right? And you know, a lot of times there is a level of receiving criticism. Sometimes it's like a very harsh um authority figure. Usually it's the father or some for Saturn, honestly. Um which can push the individual because you are, yeah, um, yeah, to be, way too hard on themselves and to kind of take in. And do you have no? Well, actually, let me see if my no, 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 no. Yeah, like there can be like these, yeah, like these introjects, right? These internal messages that get taken in. And yeah, it can be difficult, and there's a lot, it really requires a lot of work to feel like strong, to feel solid. So yeah, Sun square Saturn, and like the Moon square Saturn, it's kind of like on the very edge, but definitely a late bloomer. Um, someone who, like, especially now, that you're like exactly in your Saturn return, um, a lot can start happening for you, right? Um, because like the beautiful thing about, and that's why so many successful people have like whether it's like the Capricorn Mars or the Mars square Saturn, or even this, the Sun square Saturn, whatever, right? It's because they have the universe fucking with them, right? The universe is just like fucking with them, and then like once they hit a certain point, like going back to what I was saying before about like 3 steps forward, 2 steps back, 4 steps forward, 3 steps back, 3 steps forward, 5 steps back, right? Shit like that. But then they get to a point, right, where they still have that determination, but suddenly the universe is not messing with them, right? What are you doing? What? Uh, I don't know. I'm working. Yeah, so that's like why so many really successful people have like a lot of Saturn in their chart. But yeah, the first 30 years usually are not easy, right? Um, so yeah. And because Saturn is in Pisces, right? So that's a heavy karma. I mean, we're all as a collective feeling that right now. Saturn in Pisces. You know, my experience, like the way I see it, it really, really makes it difficult to, if you think of Pisces as as this like this very, very, it's the 12th house Pisces, like it is, like this divine energy. Saturn can really make it difficult to access that, right? So and people who have Saturn Pisces have very, very strong karma, right? Very, very tough karma. And I think one of the biggest issues is boundaries, right? Um, and just like the potential to kind of, like get lost in the sauce, like get lost in that Piscean fog, right? And I think sometimes, and I actually have like a direct experience with this, not in my life, not like me, but like, I've seen Saturn Pisces taking life too seriously, and it might have to do with, just being a little bit disconnected from, or having issues when it comes to, let me get my crystal, connecting, with the divine, right? Um, so yeah, I mean, there's heavy karmic energy with that one. But yeah, let's see. Mm, I think also one thing with Saturn in Pisces too is being able to let go of the past. Um, and really like develop that faith. It's like it's hard, like it's very hard, but just developing that faith that things are just gonna work out, you know? Like I don't know how, I don't know what the fuck, but they're gonna work out, right? Um, so yeah, that's kind of how I see that. Yeah, so yeah, the struggle for success. Um, but then yeah, you're gonna, whether you've gotten already or you're starting to get it now, it's gonna be, it's like the kid who grows up in a really poor neighborhood, works his ass off. um like I always use sports, right? It's like let's say there's like a basketball player from a really poor neighborhood, has everything kind of like trying to fuck him over in life, and then you have the kid who's from like a rich, or maybe like his dad was in the NBA or whatever. Like that kid has to go through so much more, right? But then when he gets past that, it's like the obstacles are behind him, and now just full force forward, right? So yeah. Yeah, and I think like one of the best ways to get past like like aspects like this is um just being able to live like like when like a big restriction comes up, you can either see it as like, oh fuck my life, like God, like my God, like the universe hates me, or you see it as like, you know what, this is just a test. I know it's so much easier said than done, but just like reshaping the way that you view events in your life, that's massive, right? Yeah. um what else can I say about that? mm, yeah, I mean, I think just any aspect like that can, yeah, it can create the insecurities, it can create different fears, it can create someone who um you know just there's like, yeah, a level of restriction for them to kind of like be their full true selves, right? In with confidence, um to be able to like relax in social situations, and um yeah, so there can be a lot of like blocked energy. um I break, like so should I go shades, or am I not gonna be able to see my computer? Barely see anything. Literally. uh, okay, yeah, this is not working. What about these other chicken shades? Way worse. Literally like completely black. Fuck that. So yeah. So backtracking a bit, right? And I can show the IG live. I hid the name. I can show the. Is there a way to take a photo of it? I don't think so. You guys can take a screenshot if you want. That's a chart. I don't think there's a way for me to take a photo. Is there? Take a photo and then have it in the IG live. I don't think I can do that, can I? The only way would be if I had like another person going live with me and their phone was just stuck on it. I don't know if you guys got to see. Um, but yeah, so, or is there a way? Oh, I could put it on my iPad. No, that would take too long. Do you guys want to see the chart, or are you guys cool with me doing it like this? This is just a client's chart. I just started doing it kind of randomly. So yeah, Yeah, so there's a lot. So basically, like, yeah, with Gemini Sag, you're trying to get the high energy of both. So with Gemini, you're here to be curious. You're here to um really really master the energy of going out in the world and getting that data, right? Getting that data, um, but not in a way that's superficial, not in a way that is just so kind of same thing over again, right? Um, Now interesting is that um and yeah, like I keep saying, when you connect high Gemini with high Sag, you get the person who because like okay, I'll give you one example. If you have all the Sag without the Gemini, you have someone who, for example, hasn't done their own groundwork, right? Like maybe they have all these philosophies, this and that, but maybe they didn't do the um I see this in charts all the time where like in past lives they didn't do the actual work to go and find that information on their own, right? Um and then there's like consequences to that, right? So yeah, too much Sag is just like I believe this, I believe that, but I don't have the actual physical proof, like the New York street interviews, like the research, whatever you want to call it, to like that Gemini and data, right? And just believing and not being willing to be flexible. We know about how, you know, um kind of like the shadow one of the shadows of Sag can be like my philosophy is the only philosophy, and if you don't believe it, fuck you. Like that's kind of like a lot of Sag people go through that. Maybe not fuck you, but just like, screw you, you know. Um so yeah, it really is just understanding that, there can be multiple versions of the truth, right? Uh there's not just one truth, you know? Uh so understanding that that is a reality is a game changer. And yeah, so back to what I was saying, like so you understand like how how bad that could be if you're just all Sag, no Gemini. Now, if you're all Gemini, no Sag, I already said that. You're just getting a bunch of like kind of not worth, just surface level information this year, 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 and you're not connecting it to anything. It's just like having like a room. It's like this room I'm in right now, just filled with papers everywhere. And Sagittarius is like organizing them and putting them in stacks and then connecting them and then making like you know a research paper or a book out of them, right? And yeah, so the whole goal for you is to get out there, get out there, um, take risks, travel, and you're from Texas, great state of Texas. So yeah, and I've seen a lot of Americans actually with the North Node and Sag who feel like a like it's very difficult for them for some reason to leave. Like, and it's not like a financial thing. Um I've seen it several times, right, where they just feel a little bit kind of like, like they don't wanna leave. Um so yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So, interesting. 12th house. 12th house Pluto. I love seeing that. Um, so money's interesting. Where do I want to go next? Okay, yeah. Let's. Okay, so obviously in whole. So I'm a whole sign astrologer, but I also like to go with class for this or like talk about both because in your chart it makes a huge difference. So in a whole sign, your sun, moon, Mercury, South Node, like all that falls in the seventh, right? Um, so I already spoke about that briefly by saying that, you know, seventh house, the house of partnerships. It's not just romantic partnerships. It could be business partnerships. In my opinion, and this is just me, even though the 11th house is the house of friends, I believe that like those real like BFF friendships where they're, especially the girls where they're essentially dating, like I believe that's seventh house. Um, but yeah, like having all that in there, it just makes that really, really, really important. And you know, lacking that, like it can basically make it, very difficult to kind of like be alone, and not be in relationships, right? Um, so and like a lot, like with the moon, the seventh, like a lot you know, of one's how do I say this? Like they take a lot of their emotional energy and their emotional fulfillment from other, right? The ascendant is other. So yeah, with the sun, it's just like there's just this grind, right? There's a grind, like so much of the life purpose is revolving around yeah, around partnership, right? And around getting it right in that respect. So what's interesting is that I've seen a lot of charts, um, which is wild to me, that are super seventh house and the person's like extremely single, right? And they've been that way like for a long time. I find that very interesting. Because the seventh house also, it also rules open enemies. If you're a therapist, for example, it rules your clients. Um, but yeah, I think like I don't know. I just think that overall one has to be very, very like very, very balanced and really, really looking out for becoming codependent and for having trouble. Like if you're the type of person who's like, you know, the serial relationship type people, like in one relationship it ends, tiny amount of time single and then back in another one, like yeah, it can be really, really difficult, right? So yeah. And I think that like with the North Node on the ascendant, like this, like I'm saying, like, North Node on the ascendant, like you are here to learn to love yourself and to love your independence and to be cool with being alone and maybe even like traveling alone or being your own adventure partner, and a lot of times it's like when we don't need something that something comes, right? Sometimes when we push so much, so much, so much, it just doesn't work. I try to mirror it. Right, this all the way down. Push for like a second. That's too orange. And then it's like, why did it go away? The shitty thing. Yeah. Let's see. So just from the perspective of like, having an air moon, obviously the moon is your emotional need. It's how you feel comfortable within yourself. It's your internal environment. So the moon in Gemini people, they I remember having clients who were moon in Gemini during the pandemic, and I was like, yeah, like you guys are probably like the only moon sign that hated being like away from the small talk, and so they laughed, right? Um, and it's not like saying that Moon and Gemini people like they can be extremely smart and extremely like funny and extremely adventurous and crazy and just yeah, that need for curiosity. Wait, I'm tripping. Sorry, my brain just did a brain fart. Excuse me. I was thinking about Libra. Slap. Mistake, Jesse. Mistake, Jesse. But yeah, even Moon and Gemini. I mean, it is Mercury, so it's like yeah, like there is that. I mean, it is still kind of outlasting actually. Like there is still that love of connecting with people, right? Um, but like really like Moon and Gemini people, they need that. Yeah, they crave that mental stimulation. And this is what's very interesting, because I said it's seventh house, right? In the whole sign. Now it's sixth house in Placidus. So if we think about the Moon in Gemini and Placidus, fuck, I wouldn't be surprised if you had, not to talk shit, if you had like struggle with anxiety in your life, right? Because Moon in Gemini, it's Mercury ruling the moon, so it's just like there can be this constant rumination, and a sixth house moon is always, I wrote about in a recent post. Sixth house is on the daily, right? So a sixth house moon is every day you're dealing with your emotions every day, right? So in Gemini that could be super tiring, especially since um an air moon sometimes distrusts emotions themselves, and they're more you know it's more about logic, right? It's more about you know like yeah, like I always give this example, like the same thing can happen to, like, let's say someone with a really emotional moon and water moon, whatever, and like a moon like this, and the same thing happens, and the gem moon, like like, or like the water moon, like feels it in the moment and cries, and like gets rid of it, whatever, like meets their emotional needs, they feel it in the moment, kind of like a cat shaking off. But like an air moon, sometimes they can really just like have like a lot of air distance between them and their emotions, right? um but yeah, like, I mean, I don't know anyone um watching in the IG. You guys know any Gemini moons who don't talk a lot? And it's not a bad thing. Um, they're fun as fuck. They're very fun people. But yeah, like I feel like it would be quite, from this class's perspective, it would be quite a task to yeah, to be dealing with like this on a daily basis. But like I said, like I said, everything in astrology, it's not a death wish. It's not like that. There's always awareness is step one. Once you have the awareness, then you're able to really move towards like, okay, how do I figure this out? And like going back a little bit to relationships, your moon sign is so important for relationships, right? Let's not get it twisted. Because you know, Moon and Gemini is gonna need, like, they can get bored very, very fast, right? They need that stimulation. They need to be doing this, then that, then this, then that, like the whole trial and error thing, right? They want to have fun. It's a very fun moon sign. Um, and yeah, so there's certain types of charts that I don't think that would work very well with, right? Um, like maybe someone who's, I mean, yeah, opposites can attract, and compatibility astrology is so magical and wild and it's just like sometimes you would never expect two types of people to get on well. But I don't know, maybe like the Cancer Sun and Taurus Moon, maybe that doesn't do too well with the double Gemini, but you never know. Like I said, like I just said, sometimes the complete opposites, like they just need each other. Like I need it. See, Esme's like feeling like I usually kind of lay back here, and she's just being such a diva. Esme, Esme. And I'm gonna post, if I can, I'm gonna post this when I finish it, by the way, guys. Um, okay. So yeah. So I think also with Moon in the sixth, um, and just like moving all of this to the sixth in Placidus, there's, you know, a lot of that creates like this massive need for, because like that then the nodes move, right? My legs are sore. That's why I keep moving, guys. My hamstring's sore from running. Um, it is close enough to the ascendant though, but yeah. Um, like sixth house is all about service. It's all about health. It's all about like I said, the day to day. So um yeah, it just makes those areas of life really, really important. Um, and yeah, service, right? And animals, sixth house animals, right? So people who have big sixth house or nice sixth houses, they benefit a lot from animals, pets, that is. Um, but yeah, like also it's about, yeah, like just work in general, service. So yeah, they can, be very good workers, but then um in Gemini, it can just be difficult to kind of like, it takes a certain type, of work, one sec, guys, I need to charge my phone. Certain type of work to stay, that has that intellectual, I'm just gonna say still, that intellectual stimulation, right, to keep you going. Um, So yeah, but I don't want to get too into Placidus. I just kind of want to like kind of throw that in there. Or else, it'd be like a 17-hour reading if I like fully do both. But going back to just the idea of like the seventh house moon, because it's such an important placement, right? Like, um, I just seen, yeah, I think it's like already like karmically, like that is like karmic lesson, like challenge number one. How can I've already gone over a few, but like, how can I be independent? How can I not need relationships to define me? How can I not allow relationships to kind of suck me in and keep me away from my individuality and my need to find freedom and novelty and so forth. Um, yeah. And how can, and yeah, and the whole thing with the Gemini Sag, and like, yeah, really balancing out those two axes in the highest way, highest manifestations of both. Um, yeah, I guess like what, yeah, like so, yeah. I mean, I like to repeat things, certain things, like I kind of have like a method, when I'm doing readings. Like there's some things I'll say once, some things I'll say several times. There's a reason for them, right? Um, and like, because like, you hear something once, it might go over your head. You hear it a few times, you know, it sinks in, right? But like, you know, with the seventh house moon, you know, the moon being, your safety net, your security need, your emotional security, right? Like how you kind of feel, like, how you feel grounded and secure. Um, there is that potential for relationships being what give you that. And yeah, like it does, it just makes one-on-one relationships so important. And you know like sometimes, like I've just seen it enough where people who don't have, who like are, like the always in relationship type people, and then they suddenly are single, and they're single for a while. Like I've seen people like that kind of like not lose their shit, but just really, like, it's almost like it was a hindrance to their growth as an individual, right? Um, so yeah. Oh, good call, Heidi. Gemini rules the hands too. That's a good call. Yeah. So, um, yeah, staying busy with your hands, doing things with your hands, guitar. Um, what the fuck do people do with their hands? I guess video games. Piano, any kind of instrument. Yeah, different sports too, I guess. Baseball. I don't know, but yeah. Yeah, so it can just like make like losing a partner, like it can make someone just like really addicted to relationships and really suffer when they're not in them. And yeah, like, so the key for you is like, yes, you, because you have your sun and your moon in the seventh and in the whole sign, like you are meant to be in relationships. It's just that you're meant to have this balance of you still keeping your own individuality, um within the relationships you're in, right? And really like kind of tracking that, like, am I losing myself, right? um yeah. Yeah, okay, let me see what else we got in this shit. I think quite a lot. Oh shit. Yeah, another thing is like, which is kind of more of a Libra thing, but like, yeah, it's Gemini, so it's very changeable, but at the same time, like, when there's so much seventh house, sometimes people will stay in relationships that are very dysfunctional or even toxic just to not leave them, just because of that fear of being alone. So yeah, if that's not a fear you have, good job. Good job, good job, good job. Um, I get this weird thing where I go, yeah, it's pretty fucking cool. Um, yeah, so super, super romantic shit. All right. So let's see some other things. Let's go somewhere else with this. So wow, wow, wow. So Jupiter, so Jupiter rule. So you have a super, super, super strong Jupiter. So this is how strong your Jupiter is, right? First of all, it's retrograde. So a retrograde Jupiter, it creates someone who, has a lot of internal philosophy. Like they're very philosophical on an internal level. Um, and so it's fucking strong. So one, it's on your midheaven, right? It's on the fucking midheaven, right? Which is a fucking banger. It's a great placement. Like I've seen people with Jupiter on the midheaven. Some of the clients I've had who I'm not allowed to. Well, I have confidentiality regardless, but let's just say some of the clients I've had where I'm definitely not allowed to say their name, right? Like very powerful people in the world who have had that. So yeah, but not only that, Jupiter is trining Moon, Sun, and Mercury, right? Because they're all together. The closest one would be the Moon. So that is an amazing aspect, but trines, sometimes we take them for granted, right? Sometimes we take trines for granted. Check, my eyes are getting red again. Why are they red on, guys? Any doctors in here? Why are my eyes red on the outside? I guess I slept like this is me on like literally 1 hour of sleep. I feel like I'm doing pretty good for 1 hour of sleep. Um, but then I feel really like a fucking crackhead like this, so whatever. Um, but yeah, so okay, Moon trine Jupiter, that is like such a great placement. I love like when I remember when I had that transit, it was amazing. But it's um like super internally optimistic, very generous with your time, like a very in like a yeah very giving, um like yeah like I just like and very lucky, very off like especially lucky, yeah, very lucky, right, just like attract like very good with manifestation, right, um and adventurous, but like the adventures pay off, right? Because it's the ruling planet, it's on the midheaven, and it's trying 3 personal planets. Um, so yeah, and usually that would make someone very popular, um, where they enjoy the company of other people and whatnot. Um, and yeah, so yeah, it really is like the glass half. Oh yeah, and then with the sun, I would say, oh shit, my phone just fell. Getting a text. What's up, Stiff? Hold up, guys. 1 second. One sec. Okay, I'm back. I'm back. Hopefully this doesn't fall over. Um, yeah. So where was I? Okay, yeah. So sunshine Jupiter is just, yeah. I mean that just creates like a fucking swagger, like that kind of like just happy go lucky, um, very popular, just this very bright aura, um, and yeah, someone who I mean, I guess that the only shadow with it being a trine can be like the potential for being a little bit like potentially lazy or self-indulgent, but um, yeah, I mean, just I mean, I wish I like fuck those are those are amazing. To have Jupiter like that. And yeah, like I said earlier, the Jupiterian when he takes, so like this is like karmically your chart is really asking you to take these risks, right? To take these calculated risks as you will be repaid for them. Um, and then Mercury and Jupiter trine, and yeah, I can repeat this a million times. Like we like trines, like other people see them in us, but we don't always see them in ourselves, right? It's like those talents we have that are so obvious to other people, but not necessarily to us. Um, hold on, let me get this. So yeah, like Mercury trine Jupiter, yeah, just very philosophical, um very very good at seeing the like the big picture and like the overall perspective. Like kind of like the metaphor I would give is like on like a like Mercury, like your mind, your communication, being able to like really see, not being like stuck, like really see everything, the big picture, right? um and yeah, being able to like be very like have very very kind of like uplifting, optimistic ideas, and um and talk in a way that really really pumps people up, and yeah, it's very very positive. So these alone make you a very very positive individual. um Now, interestingly though, you lack water besides Saturn, Black and Lilith, um and I guess Pluto and Scorpio. So that's interesting. So yeah, I'll talk about that a little bit later. But yeah, so Jupiter conjunct midheaven, right? I mean, like that's such a great placement. There's just like a lot of luck that comes, um, you know, like when it comes to your dharma slash career, however you want to put it. Like people with that, they tend to just have like good fortune just kind of follows them, and they can kind of just like relax. Of course, don't get lazy, don't get complacent, but um, when they're headed towards that, in your case, this north node direction, right? When you're not just, um, you know, doing the thing I've talked about so many times, like the low vibe Gemini thing. Um, yeah, like you attract a lot of luck, right? Um, but sometimes people with this, they can like, yeah, rely a little bit too much on other people for help. But um, yeah, I mean, it's just like it rules, like Jupiter midheaven. It's like someone who is seen by the public. Let's say like you were on social media, like like seen in a very like philosophical, like very good, optimistic, benefic manner, right? Like that's kind of how you're seen, right? Um, so yeah, and it makes you, yeah, respected. And yeah, 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 yeah. Um, yeah, a lot of famous people have that Jupiter midheaven, 10th house Jupiter. Um, and fuck, what else can I say about that? Mm, I guess I would say, you know, um, there's like, obviously the 10th house is it's Saturn linked with, you know, yeah, linked with Saturn in that sense. So it's almost like a blend of like the expansion of Jupiter and the more responsible, grounded, strategic element of Saturn, right? Which can be so good for any kind of work, business, whatever, networking, right? Just really, really likable to the public. Um, and lots of opportunities coming your way. Um, so yeah. Um, mm, and yeah, so like the father one's really interesting because I have seen a lot of really successful fathers with like the people like your father in this case. being very successful, but I've also seen them not being like successful in that type of way, but just having a very strong impact on them, right? Um, but yeah, I've seen like people with very, very like high reputations, very, very, well respected and all that stuff. So yeah, yeah. So there's a lot more I could say, but yeah, it's good for money. It's good for being a leader. I feel like you don't have to really worry that much about work opportunities. Reputation is very, very good unless you really fuck up. And yeah, um, when you work hard, you just manifest so much, right? Like you can get by just kind of doing whatever, but like if you actually work hard with this placement, like fuck, sky's the limit. Um, so yeah, very charismatic too, I would say. Very charismatic as well. Um, and yeah, it's in Libra. So what's interesting about that is that what the sign? So if Jupiter's in 10th and it is Cancer, I can't remember, but I know Libra's in there. So yeah, like usually, and that goes with your Saturn square Sun, someone who's been like very, very responsible ever since they were young, like ever since they were a child, right? Um, yeah. So maybe you started working early. Who knows? Let's see. And I would say, the fact that it's in Libra, and it falls in the 11th house in whole signs, so that is like papa popular. Um, but and Placidus is in the 10th house. But regardless, it's good for if it's in whole signs, it's very good for networking and for friends and like these large goals and aspirations and visions that take like a lifetime to complete. Um, you know, good leadership abilities to and yeah, and luck in finding the right types of friends, and Libra being there. I think that could just like, really, really Venus ruling that. Venus is over there in Aries. I swear probably 60-70% of my is the person you're reading on watching. No, no, no. All my readings are just recorded. Like I never talk to them until like they get the reading and the follow-up usually, and anyone can book if they're interested. So I have a special right now. It's on my last post from yesterday. It's like the pinned comment. But yeah, I do like a long ass video like this, and then they watch it, and then we set up a follow up session that's live. So I have no idea what this person looks like. I know no idea anything about them. What was I saying? Um, yeah, Jupiter Libra. Fuck. What was I saying? What was I saying? What was I saying? I was talking about Venus, right? Venus in Aries. Yeah, yeah. I was gonna say like such a huge percentage of my clients, it's so random, have Venus in Aries. Like, does anyone in the chat want to guess why that is? Like, what the fuck? Like, why do I have so many people that have Venus in Aries? Like, why? Like, my only thing I could think of is like, um, because Venus is what you value and Aries is the self, and people who value the self want to learn about themselves, like, hey, astrology, but like, um, I don't know. I joined your podcast, but you didn't let me comment. Yo, my like that wasn't a podcast, it was a channel, and I literally have no idea what it is. I just started it. Yeah, Alicia, like, yeah, you're one of them. Yeah, I don't know what that channel thing is. I thought it was gonna let me do more, um, you know, have like a bunch of people chat, but it was only 10 people, so fuck that. Like I probably won't. Maybe I'll use it. I'll you know, who knows? Maybe I'll use it. I'll have to think of how I'd want to use the channel. Sorry. Okay. So yeah, Jupiter Libra. Just yeah. I mean, Jupiter makes everything bigger. So Jupiter Libra is the lover. It is the it actually creates more potential for you know codependency. I'm not calling you that. Remember that. Don't think for a second I'm saying that you're codependent or that you have that. I'm just saying that Jupiter makes everything bigger. So, Libra is a sign of relationships, right? I mean, obviously, like Jupiter and Libra are very, very good counselors. They're very, very good middlemen slash women. They're good at seeing both sides of the story. They're good. They're usually good looking. I would, and yeah, they love. But I think like it can also be really good for business, and it can also, especially in that position, amazing, right? But because if you think of Libra, it's the scales. Think about like the market, the scales, right? Um, but yeah, it can actually be very, very good for social status too. Libra is that's another thing about Libra, right? So, yeah, it's like the diplomat, the person that knows how to talk to this person and this person and that person and that person and blah 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 blah. Um, yeah, yeah. Very. What do you guys like about Libra, guys? What's your favorite thing about Libra? Um, mm, mm, mm. It was retrograde, right? I'm happy I'm losing my vision, not my voice tonight, because I actually can see it with my eyes closed. Do you guys know that? See if I can actually do this. I did it. I did it. I did it. I did it. That was so cool. So cool. So cool. So cool. Yeah. Anyways, a lot of times when I do readings, I literally just sit and meditate like this. But I feel like that'd be kind of boring for you guys watching me, just my eyes closed. You need to go take a nap. They are attractive. Yeah. Yeah. They're sexy as fuck. Um, yeah, I don't know. I just think that like yeah, like if I was looking for someone to like these two opposing parties that are trying to fight, I would want someone with Jupiter and Libra to be in the middle and to understand both perspectives. And yeah, because it's the 11th house, it's someone who can be the peacemaker in their friend group, right? And yeah, okay. So we haven't touched on your ninth house, like a lot of your fire energy, right? There's some fire energy. Well, we talked about the Sag, right? Okay. So let's talk about love, 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 love. Okay, this is very, very, very interesting. So Venus is in Aries, as I said before. Venus and Aries, I find it interesting about them, because they tend I always say like I always tell my Venus and Aries people take A nap. Yeah. No, trust me, I'm good. I know I look fucking horrible, but I'm chilling. I'm chilling. I'm gonna go to sleep like early tonight. But it's my girlfriend's birthday today, and I go to bed really late, and I woke up early to go buy her flowers. I designed like a beautiful bouquet myself. And I can't nap. Like I'm not someone that's able to nap. So yeah, you know. But somehow my brain like once it becomes dark, like even if I like didn't like barely slept, I'm good. I'm chilling. I just look like shit. Um, yeah. So Venus and Aries, I think it's interesting that yeah, I mean, they value independence. They value, they like, um, you know, I said this so many times that like they're the go-getters, whether they're female or male. Um, but then once they have what they like or what they want, they, want more space. But then like people have been like, nah, it's not really me. So I don't know. It's kind of an enigma, this Aries Venus. But I think it just has a lot to do, just with yeah, with freedom and independence in relationships and wanting someone um, you know, who also who's not yeah who can have fun, who can kind of just go with the flow in life, and yeah, who wants to experience lots in the fifth house also, right? So Venus in the fifth house wants to, yeah, I mean that's also a super super creative placement, right? Let's not get crazy, guys. But yeah, like Venus in the fifth is, a lot of artists definitely have that. But yeah, I would say um the aspects it's making are what makes it really interesting. And it squares Neptune, squares Uranus, um, which is fascinating to me. But let me think. Yeah, so like a Mars ruled Venus, I think, yeah, it can be a bit difficult because Venus likes to attract, Mars likes to go get. Um, so yeah, like it can make someone kind of like, yeah, a little bit, yeah, impulsive, and um yeah, they see what they like and they go towards it. But then I've talked to people who have been like, yeah, but I'm not like that. Yeah, let's see. So what other aspects? Yeah, I mean, like even if you think of Venus as just like, yeah, like what one values, yeah. So just like, yeah, like the Aries Venus, yeah, they're leaders, and their love language is probably very very passionate, very very you know uh assertive. Oh, actually, I dated a girl that had that placement. Come to think of it, super impatient. She was a Aries sun too. But yeah, super impatient. And they can be on to the next one quite easily. Kind of like, yeah, can get bored quite easily. Um, yeah. So, anyways, with the aspect, and just what they like, yeah. So they like independent, like, self-confident people, and then the fifth house, of course, people who can, like to have fun, and um, yeah, it's with Sirius too. Um, so also, yeah, fifth house Venus is very very good for children and having like good relationships with, like, really really good karma with your children. Someone who enjoys, yeah, like just kids in general, but also like their kids. It's like a very good totem for that. Um, and yeah, very very like high potential for, wanting to create through art. Um, yeah. So the interesting part is the aspect. So first of all, easy. It trines Mars. Mars obviously is in the beautiful, beautiful, beautiful sign of Leo conjunct Chiron, not too far. Or not too close, excuse my Italiano. Yeah, Venus in Mars trine is, I've seen this in action, especially with all this Jupiter and like the gift of gab that comes from all that Gemini. Just someone who has, yeah, who really can like put people at ease through their, yeah, this real balance of like the masculine, the feminine, and yeah, it's a nice mix of of this kind of ability to attract and this ability to go get, but it's in fire though, so yeah. um but like, yeah, I think wait, was I already talking about this aspect? I forget. I swear I've had so many charts recently that have had like the same aspects. It's been fucking crazy. Which is actually, I guess that's happened to me forever, but like, let me think for a sec. Yeah. Um, I think it was yeah, it was the chart before, I'm pretty sure, right? Um, but yeah, like yeah, they can take their creative talents. They're very, yeah, very creative, especially with the fifth house Venus, but they can, yeah, take that creative talent for granted. Other people can see it very obviously, but sometimes they can't see it themselves. So create, create. Okay, so now the fun stuff. Well, we'll do one more smooth one before we get into the hard aspect. Um, yeah, so Chiron trine Venus, that's just like a really, really good one for a healer. Just a good listener, a good, um, just a gifted healer, someone who kind of has that ability to feel people's pain, even through their art. If they're an artist, they might be able to like have a very healing impact. And yeah, usually like it gives like a very nice, um yeah, nice ability to put people at ease going through very tough psychological times. Yeah. So yeah. And all right, let's see. And then I guess the last one, well, we'll talk about that after the Mars. Okay, so love. Okay, so this person in love, right? So Gemini moon, obviously they need curiosity, they need, changeability, they need that intellectual connection. It's seventh house, so with the North Node, unless they want to stay stuck in their South Node, they don't want to have relationships where they're too intertwined. So it'd be good to have someone that is good at, who also needs their, yeah, who might need their own space, or who might at least who's not just gonna like just with that person, right? Because then they're just stuck on that South Node conjunct descendant. Um, but yeah, like I would say like Moon and Gemini, Moon and Gemini in love. Yeah, they want someone that they can have fun with. They want someone who has multiple personality disorder. I'm just joking. Um, yeah, they want someone who, yeah. Um, just like with the air moon, it's just that need for that intellectual connection. The sun's there too, so yeah, same thing. So then, yeah, Venus, obviously in the fire, like So one, yeah, it kind of is similar to what I just said, different but similar. It's like a 3 and 5 in numerology. I think maybe I'm just getting in numerology, but yeah, wanting that fun, and then also that novelty, that fun slash creativity, and then um you add the Juno, which is in Leo with the Mars, right? So first of all, Vertex with Juno. When I see that, I instantly think that this person has, there's a lot of fate that runs in their romantic life, and I don't say that in a lot of my readings. By the way, I'm not that kind of person that says, "Oh, yeah, this person is gonna meet their soulmate," blah 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 blah. Like that's not me, Like I just, you know, um, if your bipolar comes through, what does that mean? You talking to me? You talking to me, man? You talking to me, or are you talking about the chart? Um, yeah. So basically, with with Vertex in Juno and in just in general, yeah, there's just a lot of fate, especially like around like who that person's gonna marry and like the real deep relationships. So Juno is like your ideal mate. So Juno in Leo would be someone in the ninth house, an adventure buddy, someone where there's kind of like similar type of philosophical outlook, or at least where you're able to debate about that type of thing. And yeah, even Mars and Leo, they want to be proud of their partner. In the ninth house, it's very much a placement of someone who is definitely a traveler. Like, I mean, you're already a Sag rising, so to have a Leo, so a fire Mars in the ninth house, the house linked to Sagittarius, you know, like I would be extremely surprised if you weren't someone that has, traveled to a lot of different countries, unless there's something, big holding you back. Um, so now that we've said that, right? So we have kind of a similar energy, right? The Gemini, well, actually, if you think about it, Gemini, right? Sextiles, so it's 2 signs away, right? Leo, Cancer, Gemini. So that's a sextile. That's a good relationship between those two. Gemini, Taurus, Aries, right? So they form a mini grand trine by element. Um, so so far everything that I've talked about with respect to love is very much in the same ballpark. Now this is where it gets switched up. Um, so with Venus square Uranus, right? Or should I start with Neptune? Venus square Neptune, right? And I see that in so many charts, it's insane, right? Venus square Neptune is literally um the epitome of the rose-colored glasses in love, right? And my eyes look like they have rose-colored glasses, like in general. But yeah, like that it creates someone who has like a level of perfectionism when it comes to relationships, and it's very, very difficult for them to accept anything that falls short of their usually impossible to get to. Like they just like they every it's they have raised everything so high, right? Like it's any little small mistake. So, but what happens though at the start, a lot of times with Venus square Neptune, is that the individual might ignore red flags that comes up. And like I said, I have so many clients in my time as an astrologer who have had this. right? Whether it's Neptune the seventh house, Neptune square Venus, um, and the way it shows up, like, is that this perfect person comes, right? Everything's all good, blah blah blah, and they create this fantasy, right? Of and a lot of humans do that, right? But like this is like to an extreme, and they can be the most glaring and obvious red flags, like maybe this isn't it, but they ignore them. And it all comes, so Venus is about self-love. So um, you know, this usually comes from a feeling of being kind of like just self-esteem issues, feeling unlovable, just like feeling like from whatever childhood experiences they had that they were strange in some way, that like something's off about them. Like it's very unconscious, right? Um, because Neptune, what it does in this square is that it distorts the self image, right? So Venus is how you love yourself, and then it gets projected outwardly, right? And then that's your love language. So, in this sense, what's up, Esme? You want to help me? So, in this sense, um, you know, the best way to deal with Neptune is through cameras, actually, which sounds very weird, but if you it rules screens. So if you film yourself, or if you like talk, like do affirmations into a mirror, that's really, really good. Um, or like just like anything to improve your appearance, like these types of things are very, very good. But yeah, overall, um, there's that like there's that correlation between how the relationships are, because some people with this, they will accept bullshit in relationships, but then once they start to truly love themselves, they don't accept this bullshit anymore, right? Um so yeah, yeah, I would, yeah, I think, like, yeah, just this distorting influence is very, very very common here. What do you think, Esme? You want to look at the chart? Tell me what to look at. You didn't tell me earlier. Um, but yeah, another thing with the Neptune square Venus is on a very low vibe is self-hate, because like like that is obviously the opposite of self-love. So like that's one that like I've seen that linked with eating disorders, all kinds of stuff like that, like self-harm. And of course, Neptune is linked to addictions, right? So there can be that as well. And just like any kind of escapism, right? But like the whole like what I was saying earlier is like it's just that process of being blind to this person. So it's like if your garden, the garden of you is full, it's nice, right? Like metaphorically, like the garden of you, right? Um, you know, like when someone else comes in, it's cool. If your garden's a mess, when someone comes in, it's not gonna work out, right? Um, so like what happens is that like people who are kind of a mess, they'll just cling on so hard to you know like this person, right? Regardless of whether it's good, the person's good for them or not. Ignore all of like the red flags or whatever, the negative aspects, and then sometimes make commitments way too early, and then boom, no bueno. Okay, we're gonna have Esme. So you guys know Esme, my special cat, the astrologer. Her Instagram is at Esme EZME. If you guys feel like following her, at EZME Cat Astrology. So she hasn't been doing it in a while, but she looks Esme. She looks at charts. I say, look at the most important thing I'm supposed to talk about, and sometimes she just looks away. I'd say 80% of the time she does it, but I can tell right now she doesn't want to do it. Esme. Okay, she ran away. Whatever. Fuck it. Okay. Anyway, so yeah, so that's kind of the influence there. I've just heard like the craziest fucking stories of just like that over idealization and the disillusionment and oh yeah, and then people feeling sorry for themselves after and running away and being afraid to make themselves vulnerable again. So yeah, it really is just like self-respect, self-esteem, self-respect, and that has like an exact effect on relationships. Okay. Okay, so with Uranus, and that one, how many degrees is that? Yeah, that's about 5. So Venus square Uranus, that makes someone in relationships want freedom and want it actually creates usually like commitment issues in relationships, which that can kind of go along with some of those placements. They can also want a more rebellious, like just different type of relationship. I don't know if it's like what's it called, polyamorous, something like that, right? Uranus square Venus, right? So, and for anyone who just joined, I am doing a natal reading for a client recorded, and I don't know, I just started doing it. I've never seen, or I don't know anything about this person, never seen a photo of them, just recording, and yeah. Is similar. So yeah, the opposition is a little bit different. Opposition squares are more internal, oppositions are more external is the easy way of putting it, but there's a little bit more explanation. But yeah, like a lot of times, yeah, there's external manifestations to the oppositions. Um, yeah. So yeah, like what can happen with Venus square Uranus, especially like with the Venus in Aries, they can like go like so go getter to go get that person they want, and then when they have them, like any claim that person has that like or like anything that they feel is like a restriction to their freedom, they're just like peace out, they're just like no fucking way. And you know it just kind of like it's like the biggest turn off for someone with that placement. So yeah, the lesson with that is, the lesson with the Neptune one is, you know accepting that no human is fucking perfect, and that you need to take shit slow in relationships and see things for what they really 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 are. um, and I would say with Uranus, it is more around compromise, right? And and also taking things slow, but in a way where it's like, because of the Gemini, right? So you see how everything's connecting, there can be that potential for this individual to jump ship really quickly in love, right? So, Carly, that's fucking weird. Wait, no, okay. That tripped me out. Sorry, Cardi. My friend Carly, I just her name's Carly Johnson. Your name's Cardi Jordan, so it looks like Carly Johnson. Like I just period it, and I literally thought of her like 5 seconds ago, and then I looked in the chat. And I was like, "Yo, that's crazy. What's good? What's good, Cardi? Cool name, like Playboy Cardi, the rapper." Yeah. Um. So yeah, with the Uranus square, yeah, it just really, yeah, like, I mean, me myself, like I'm a Venus and Mars and Aquarius, and I think like it's different but similar. There's just that Uranian aspect in love, and it makes you you need freedom. You need to do things on like fuck conditioning, right? It's like fuck conditioning, like doing things on your own watch, doing things that work for you. Fuck what society says, like, for example, I sleep in the same, I not same, like I sleep in my own, like I refuse to share a bedroom. Like I want my fucking own room. Like I've always wanted that as a kid. And then that's never changed. So that's a very Uranian thing, right? To just think outside the box, think for your fucking self. So that energy would come out in love. But what can happen with this, it just makes commitment really, really hard. So I imagine that for this person, commitment can be pretty difficult. And they just need like a really, really very specific type of person. Yeah, very, very specific. Yeah. What else? Oh, and Venus also rules spending. So yeah, I'm happy I thought of that. So Venus also rules spending, guys. So don't forget that. Um, so the aspects, yeah. Um, yeah, Venus square Uranus. Um, like money can be like in one day, or what's it, in one hand out the other, right? Like it can move fast, right? Um, it can make one, yeah, like but it can also make one really, really genius when it comes to coming up with like money making schemes, right? Like very unique money making schemes. Um, and but yeah, like they can be impulsive with their spending. And with Venus square Neptune, that can create, okay, so this is very interesting. So that can create someone who undervalues um themselves, right? So like there's other placements that show this, but um until one gains gets past that distorting image that Neptune has on oneself, it can make one like, let's say that they're a therapist or like a massage therapist, like they might be worth, you know, 290 an hour, but they might charge 110, you know? But then the more inner work they do, the more they start to see themselves clearly. That also reflects find like in terms of like how they value themselves for their work, right? And then in terms of spending, um, yeah, you just gotta like, I think with Venus in Neptune, you gotta watch out for scammers. You gotta watch out for just um yeah, like any kind of paperwork, like fucking, like contracts and stuff, sign that shit, like make like, or not sign that shit, like just like be careful with it, you know. Um and yo, Cardi, add as much as you want. I'm gonna like everyone that wants to add anything, be my guest. And sorry, my eyes look so fucked up, guys. It's literally, look, okay, now it's the inside, but I swear it just got worse in the last 10 minutes. But yeah, I slept like 1 hour last night, so I'm gonna like sleep right after this. But what if I did back-to-back readings though? That'd be crazy on live. But I don't know if anyone would want to watch two in a row, and my eyes would probably look like I might as well just stab them. But yeah, I guess where Neptune was spending. Yeah. Yeah. Also, like with Venus square Uranus, there can be like it can also create like kind of like a minimalist also. Um, and with Neptune, it can just kind of create like a level of fog and confusion where someone might just like spend and be like, what the fuck? Like, why did I do that? Like, why did I buy that shit? You know, like they're just confused. Like, what the fuck did I do? You know? So yeah. You said clean energy, and you made me want to go grab my cat if I can find her in the next 6.3 seconds. I have a lot of cats, but I want the white one. And she's not here. What the fuck? Let's take this one. This is so fun doing this on live. This is Ina, guys. You have cat. Oh, you have 5 cats too. That's dope. And then you follow if I don't already. Wait, it doesn't let me follow you. Without leaving the live, whatever. Um, Send me like a DM or something, and or don't. Whatever. Yeah, but then okay, so Neptune and Uranus are in the second house too. So yeah, like Neptune in the second house. So yeah, this actually goes exactly with what I was saying, right? Neptune in the second house is exactly what I just said about the person who can undervalue themselves and be really unrealistic in their assessment of their own self-worth. Um and there's like that need to link like the financial monetary area of life with the spiritual area of life, right? To kind of bring the two together and balance the two out, right? That's really, really important. Clouded personal value. Yeah, for sure. Clouded personal value is a good way of putting that for sure. Um, yeah, and I've come across many people with this who, during the follow-up were just like, yo, like, fuck, you're right, Um, 1 second. Hold up. I want to see one thing really quick. Okay, cat. Um, stop. Okay, was there the trine? No, because I've had like back-to-back charts that were so similar. Um, Cat's licking me. You guys don't see. Oh, my phone's probably charged. You guys can. Let me see if I can. Oh, I can actually use this beanbag, which is way better. Oh, you guys like that angle? Ina, give me a kiss. Or don't. Um, okay. So where was I? Yeah. So yeah, I mean Neptune second is usually like not the best for finances, let's be real. A lot of times people with that also just like don't really, that's not like a huge priority of theirs. It can be kind of like hippie-ish in that sense, I think too. So yeah. I can't think of anything else. I feel like I'm missing some stuff with that one. What's your cat's name? Her name's Ina, like the singer, the Romanian singer. Inna. She's like a she's a She was born. I don't know if you guys remember the that new moon we had in April this year. It was like fucking incredible. Like I usually I remember it like it was special. It was Jupiter conjunct Sun conjunct Moon, like exact, and she was born right on that. Isn't that crazy? It was like one of the best new moons. It was awesome. She's a little baby, and then here comes Esme, who's look at how similar they look. Like sometimes we can't tell them apart. I mean, yeah, they're right now their fur looks different from that angle, but as look this way. Stop lying down. Esme, look at that. Look this way. Okay, well, Esme doesn't want to do that right now, but whatever. Yeah. So Neptune second house. Yeah, yeah. Also, yeah, just like just watch out when it comes to the finances for sure. And then Uranus, yeah, that's like the minimalist, the person who might have a very unconventional, um, relationship with you know with money, and because Uranus everything goes up and down, it can make income go up and down. You know what I mean? It can really, really like be like a "Ooh." Yeah. Cindy, what's up with your Neptune the second? Or actually, you said you're fucked, so um, never mind. Don't share if it's bad. But any input? I love this. This is actually dope. 'Cause I can get input from you guys if you know, or the ones of you who are interested in this. I think is everyone in here. What do you say? Hold on. With money in the universe and vibrations. Wild little my cat, little +4. Confused. My Neptune is in the sixth house in the whole sun, so I can't. Um, yeah, like I can't do and I have Uranus there too. I can't do. That's why I go to bed so fucking late and have such a weird schedule and eat once a day. Speaking of, I have to order my food soon. Um, but yeah, so Uranus in second house, like it really the lesson is that like money's here one moment, it's gone the next. Like it really is like also the second house is our internal resources, right? So Neptune second house can be someone who has a very kind of like very spiritual sort of like way of like they could be like a big meditator. um they could be someone who yeah, who really I'm struggling to find the words. I'm struggling. I'm struggling. I'm struggling. I'm struggling. I'm struggling. Yeah, I would say like they can just have like a very like I think of like the second house in a way where it's like that is um like our internal values, like almost like for me it's like my moral code, right? Or like the constitution of me. So with Neptune, it adds like a level of compassion to that. Um, and yeah, but a lot of like astrology talks about like more like the financial side. Um, and yeah, Uranus second house people, I think, are just very, yeah, very original, and they kind of have their own way of doing things. And yeah, isn't or stuff. Yeah, and like there's just that like they just their values can be very detached from like the mainstream, so they like that kind of like were hippie bohemian type vibe can be very appealing to them because they can just yeah they really just they can sometimes think of like objects and possessions as things that push them away from their freedom, right? So yeah, okay. And also like the way they look at money, like Neptune second house can look at money in a very spiritual way, where there's like a very like where there can be like a very large spiritual link to their money. So like if they're doing like something that's very very positive spiritually, um it could be good for them in that sense. And then um Uranus, stop, don't touch the phone. Um, Uranus can be, it's all about freedom, right? So, they can really view, stop, she wants to like hit end. They can basically view like bills and taxes and just all this stuff as just like, um, infringements to their overall freedom, which is their main, main value, right? So yeah, what the chat say? I like full sign, but I like using both of them. Yep. Neptune sixth house. Of course. What about eighth people with Pisces influence? I'm an eighth house Pisces sun and Mercury, so holla at your boy. It's a good, interesting time. She's an eighth house sun and moon and Jupiter in Aries. So yeah, you got two of us, right? Oh, no kiss. But Neptune in second means work in a Neptunian career. Like for ages, I sold perfume, and at one point I DJ'd, but now I'm not exactly sure, except maybe counseling, bordering on psychic work. Interesting, interesting, very interesting. Yo, I fucking love this. This is so dope. Like, are you high? Are you asking me? Okay. If you joined earlier, I don't smoke. But my eyes are just fucked. Like they're fucked. And I was wearing these like kind of the joke, but then I was like, I literally look like a crackhead. So I'm just gonna own the fact that my eyes are really red. I barely slept last night. My girlfriend's birthday today, so um, I like didn't want to like sleep in and all that stuff. Okay. You seem very elevated to me. And what's like me? You think I'm high? Are you sure it's not just that my eyes are really red and I'm tired? Yeah. Okay. Anyways, so let's kind of finish this up. Yeah, let's finish this up. Um, so okay, so Chiron in Leo, ninth house. So the way I look at that is someone who, most likely was rejected for their beliefs early on. Um, you know, most likely because you do have that Sun square Saturn, so that's highly likely that that's the case. Um, and the fact like whenever I see Chiron and Leo, with but the thing is there's a ton of fire in your chart and it's conjunct Mars, but Chiron and Leo, a lot of times there is a creative blockage in terms of like the inner child, right? Um, like I've seen it be so detrimental in charts of people who lack, fire or air. But the fact that you have all this fire that, I feel like it can make up a lot of it. Your fifth house Venus and whatnot. But yeah, like sometimes people with that, like they feel like they have like a kind of like a fear around like letting themselves just go creatively. Like it's like a wall comes up when they try to like just let themselves go. And a lot of times it's like, yeah, like when they're young, like they were prevented from that type of self-expression, that just free-flowing self-expression, which is totally in line with the Sun square Saturn, right? Um, and yeah, so yeah, and then like yeah, like the Chiron and Taurus, I see that with so many clients. So many, so many, so many. But then, later on you could be someone who with Mars conjunct it, who's a healer in your own right and who, helps people you know, push through with respect to their own, philosophies and finding, like finding that I wish there was a better word than inner child. For some reason, I just find that word cheesy, even though like it's a great concept. But yeah, just like that child within all of us. Like age is literally a fucking number. Like it is nothing. Age is nothing. Um, we allow ourselves to get old, right? We allow ourselves to kind of um stop being a kid. But like it's a choice, I mean, obviously we have responsibilities and people, have kids and all that stuff. But like, you know, there's people who just say, I just want to stay forever young. I just want to like on a mental level, you know, I just want to be young. I don't want to just like follow society's order to just do this, do that, do this, do that. And that could be part of this Chiron journey. So the fact that it's with Mars, that can be a little bit difficult because yeah, like early on it could have been like tough, like getting your way, um like growing up it could have been like kind of difficult, getting your way, whether it was with your dad or just you know, like just in your home, like in your upbringing, just yeah, difficulty in that respect. And yeah, so a lot of times it is just about just being that person that because like it connects back to having a very different philosophical outlook, right? Which I see in so many of my charts, like so many, right? They're shown in different ways, but it's like the key theme is like um you know black sheep or someone who for whatever reason was shamed for thinking differently, right? And then a lot of their journey is to kind of grow up and get past that. But yeah, I think with Mars and Chiron, um, who's texting me? Yeah, yeah, with Mars and Chiron, I think it's just like, yeah, like it's just like Mars is like action towards being a healer, essentially, right? And towards helping, heal humanity. So, because of potential difficulties that you may have had growing up, it gives you that, that compassion for others later. And yeah, and even Vertex, like right there too, it's just like, doorway to higher awareness. You get that from, being in your inner child, being in uh exactly what I was just talking about with Chiron, being able to let go, and also ninth house, Sagittarius, when you are allowing yourself to go on these adventures and to travel and to learn and to open your mind. So yeah, kind of rounding up midheavens in Virgo. So yeah, mutable midheaven. A lot of times that can be people with two careers. They can have the money maker and they can have the passion. Um, yeah, like like I've seen it so many times where where Mercury rules, or either Mercury or it's immutable that rules midheaven, where it's just like yeah, there can be different career changes throughout the times, because you know like with your chart, as your ninth house energy, your worldview is changing, that's updating what you deem most worthy of doing with your career slash dharma. Okay, so yeah. So I talked about like the difficulty with your family, and maybe like kind of like a feeling a little bit restricted. There could also be like a feeling of maybe like some type of like jealousy in that sense, or like in like with family, like them potentially having like some level of like just dark energy towards you. Um so yeah, like the fourth house Saturn, just like the home base is not solid, and yeah. Um and I think Black Moon Lilith in Pisces is interesting, because I think of Black Moon Lilith is, it's not a planet, but it is basically um I would say it's you at your, it's kind of you in your shadow. So um you know Pisces, I would say, like it's just like that fear of vulnerability, that escapism, kind of running away from emotions, uh, from closeness, um, putting up emotional walls, all that stuff, right? Um, so yeah, um, yeah. So just like the healing can come from just like relying on your intuition, and just like having, you know, that knowledge of like, okay, I can trust this person, and maybe I can't trust this person, and just accepting that, pain sometimes is part of the equation in life, right? Um, and yeah, the fact that it's in the fourth house, can indicate that it's, yeah, that there's some real karmic darkness around the family. Okay, Pluto in the 12th is, I love this placement so much, and we'll round it out here, and then I'll take a look at some stars. But fuck, this is like one of my longest readings. Holy fuck. Um, so Pluto in the 12th, the way I look at it is this: it's like it's like one of the ultimate placements of spirituality, in the sense that Pluto, so Saturn is rock, right? And it represents like the material reality, the consensus realities we know it. Pluto in the 12th house is that leap into the off the rock of Saturn, right? Which represents like, yeah, like I just said, the material world, everything that we know, that we think we know, blah, 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 that's solid, that we think is this and that, into the, Neptunian sea, the never-ending Neptunian sea that represents like the divine and everything like that, right? Like connection to all. So, um, yeah, it's a very, very spiritual Pluto placement. And yeah, it just gives this deep need to explore the unconscious realms, and um, yeah, just really, really wanting to understand the overall zeitgeist. Okay, let me look here. Just, and even Vesta having it in Pisces, when I see that, um, I think of someone who, yeah, like work wise could do something spiritual, or something that, is related to, service to humanity, making the world a better place, all that stuff. Um, let's see. Is there a, hold on. Hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on, own. Yeah, so also you might not like even feel welcome in your own home, like just like very, very like not safe like in your like your not your current home, but like your home of origin. A lot of people with that placement, it can be very hard, with like the fourth house Lilith, it can be hard for them to like actually like want to start a family. Um and sometimes there's there's like a lot of like kind of, especially it's around the IC, so like lots of trauma in the family from generation to generation. Um and yeah. And then as I was saying, um yeah, Vesta with Saturn, wow, conjunct in Pisces. That is like a fucking like a leader, like someone who can really like hold together like a unit, like a team. Um like Vesta's like kind of like the more fun version of Saturn, if that makes sense. Like they're both related to work in some sense. Vesta's like what you hold most sacred. So that is very interesting. Yeah, very, very that's like a really, yeah, great one for being hardworking and great for leadership. And yeah, Jupiter on the midheaven is amazing for that too. Okay, just rounding out, we're about to be done. Um, okay, what's this? No, 18. Okay, that's that. That's that. That's that. So, um, wait, why is it? Okay, wait, I need to type something in. I have no fucking idea what that does. I mean, I have an idea. Aries and Venus, I would imagine, just makes one, uh, that Aries and Venus, very explosive. Um, so yeah, I'm just filling in the blanks with fixed stars and asteroids that I look at. And just only conjunctions to uh important points or planets, like 1 degree conjunctions only, or like 1.5, 2, if it's like a really, really big deal one. Okay, what's this? Is that a wealth star on the descendant? Yeah. So you have Rigel on the descendant. That is a wealth fixed star. So yeah, I mean that yeah, that's kind of like what it is. It is a wealth star, so you could be wealthy. Um, and just because it's on the descendant doesn't mean that it's like from a partner. Okay, so nothing with that, nothing with that, nothing with that. If you guys could see how like clunked together all these are, like how do I tell the difference between all of these planets? I don't know how I train my eyes to do that, especially now that they're so tired. Yeah. Um, okay, let me pull this up. So that's everything there. Okay. And okay, so Eris and Venus, what the fuck do they? Okay, so profound and transformative influence on your experiences of love, relationship, values, and self-worth. This aspect invites you to explore the following possibilities. One, intense relationships. You may find yourself drawn, engaged in relationships that challenge societal norms, expectations. Two, disruption of values. This aspect encourages a reevaluation of your personal values, creating space for a deeper exploration of what truly matters in your life. 3, embracing individuality. You may feel a strong urge to express your unique and authentic self, even if that means deviating from societal norms. This can lead to a greater sense of personal freedom and fulfillment. 4, empowering self-worth. The conjunction of Eris and Venus provides opportunities for personal growth by pushing you to confront and transform any issues surrounding self-worth and self-discipline. Okay, and finally, the last thing we're looking at today is Fomalhaut, which is one of the 4 royal stars. It is conjunct your, how far? Degree and a half. So it's not like so close. But yeah, your moon is not so much further away. And wait, hold up really, really quickly. So yeah, grand trines do not work, or T-squares do not work unless it's planets. They don't work with like the nodes or midheaven, ascendant, all that stuff. Just so you guys know, because a lot of people think that those work. Because like in this chart, it's like nearly like a Star of David. But then you look at what planets there are, and okay, 26. Okay, so trine. Yeah. Okay. All right. So Fomalhaut is let's see what it says with Mercury. I have no fucking idea. Fomalhaut is like, it's like the star of divine inspiration. It's like, in Pisces, and it is just like as artistic as it gets. So it says here it's really, really good for writing. Um, it stimulates mental capabilities, and gives promises success as a writer or scientist. It can make someone very diplomatic and practical, and it can give like a somewhat restless mind, always planning, planning, planning. Okay, and you have to watch out for like I already said this, but like questionable deals and being conned. Um, so yeah, I already kind of called that out earlier. All right, that is it. Thank you so much. So I'm gonna end this recording, not the live. I'm gonna end this recording now. Thank you, my friend. This was so wow. Literally, right when I stop my timer, it's 2 2 2 2 2 2. Crazy shit. Or wait, no, I'm tripping. It was nearly that. It was nearly that. It was like so close. A few seconds off. All right. Thank you so much. Ciao.